Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, this is Chris of FinalScore, and we are back. And things look a little different around here.
A little different setup here we got.
A little different. It's
a little different. We got a little bit more space.
More room for activities.
More room. I think it's because we moved.
Did we move?
We have a new studio.
Hey, look at that. We got a new studio, which means we have plenty of palette space to do things with. So definitely expect a lot of crazy things from us in the future because, well, that's just what we do. You know?
That's pretty much it.
What sports does do, it makes you go a little crazy sometimes. You become such a fan where you have to make sure you get everything positioned nicely in your shots. And well, you look a little bare over there.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Well,
just like my teams have shown up in the playoffs, they display here. Oh wait, my teams haven't made the playoffs other than the Pistons, that's a different story. Anyway, this is
at least my team. My team got one.
Yeah, at least you got one.
And I was watching when it happened, so that's always nice. But
so you were the good luck charm, is what you're saying?
I mean, last year I went to 4 games. They were 4-0 in those games. Only won 25 games last year, so I'll take it.
Just start going to 82 games. Hey, Magic, you heard it here first. Get this man season tickets.
Yeah.
You will win every game.
You want an NBA championship, you get this guy in the
building.
You get
this guy to go to all your games. He's undefeated.
Undefeated. But you know who else is undefeated? FinalScore. Because we wouldn't be here if we weren't. So at the end of the day, to be able to stay undefeated, I guess you have to do great things like, going on social media and being very active like all of you should. So make sure that you go onto Facebook right now. Go to /PCN FinalScore and give us a like. Drop us a line. Check out all the great stuff that we have going on, which we always have something going on.
Always something brewing on Twitter.
Ooh, always
something brewing on Twitter.
So with that means you got to tiptoe on over to Twitter. Go ahead to @PCN FinalScore. Give us a follow there. Check out everything we're doing. Give us a retweet. Drop us a line. Give us a like. We always love interacting with the fans. So definitely hit us up. It's a lot of great stuff. And we're on like so many millions and millions of platforms now. It's actually kind of ridiculous. And what platforms are we on again? Oh, yeah. Boom, all of these ones. So now we are on Google Play Music, Podbean, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify. I'll tell you what, we're doing something right.
Hey, we're moving. We are making moves, my friend.
That's right. They call that moving on up.
Moving on up.
Yeah, I don't know the rest of the words.
Moving on up. That's all I know.
Yeah, you know what? It's all that matters. Philly dilly. Anyways, so that being said, though,
I love that.
We have a great show lined up for today. It's a lot of exciting stuff that's going to be going on. So I guess we should just dive right on. We've been talking so much, It's been a little bit. It's nice being in this new space, but
yeah, it is
time for brass tacks. So first things first, we got to talk about NBA news and
oh man,
what is I guess
the
actual laughing stock of the NBA, and that's the LA Lakers.
Yeah, I mean they pretty much are the laughing stock of the NBA right now. They make the New York Knicks look like the San Antonio Spurs right now with how much dysfunction they have.
Who thought that would happen?
That organization? I never thought it would. I'd see the day.
No, not behind the great Magic. Oh wait. I guess that's a little different nowadays, isn't it?
It's a little different. I mean,
too soon?
Kind of. Maybe. I mean, were his other ventures too soon? Cuts them all short. But
it's just too hard. It's just too hard.
They have had quite the roller coaster of a week. So as soon as they had interviews lined up with multiple coaching candidates, they had their guy. They had it. They had Ty Lue ready to go. Ex-LA Laker. He's won NBA championships with the team in the early 2000s. He's coached LeBron, coached a championship there in that, albeit rigged, oh, wait, did I say that? Sorry.
Rigged. Ooh.
Rigged what? Rigged? Ooh. Tim Donaghy? What?
Gotta be careful with them words.
miracle come from behind victory in the NBA Finals against the Warriors.
Yes.
They had their guy. They had him locked in, ready to go. They were ready to sign on the dotted line. And then Wednesday, it all fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Lue stated he was moving on from the Lakers and he no longer in the head coaching position run. And the rumor was they wanted to offer him 3 years, $6 million. He wanted $5 million.
I was about to say, he wanted a little bit more than that. And maybe he wanted to get locked in so he can actually do what he wanted to do.
But the reason being, because of how closely he was tied to LeBron, they wanted him to get 3 years because if LeBron stays the rest of his contract and takes his player option in the final year, he stays for an additional 3 years. They wanted to mirror those two together, which makes sense.
It does, especially when it's your star player. You don't know necessarily what's going to happen come that time, given what's already happened. So, why take that chance and hang on, or at least commit to a coach that might end up tanking you over those 3 years that LeBron's there? Yeah,
you never know. I mean, if just the way that this team is set up right now, they're realistically not, conducive to what he needs on the court. Not. So, I mean, they definitely need to reshape that roster to work around LeBron, which is what they were hoping Ty Lue would help alleviate, was to, basically cater to LeBron while still being able to coach the young players. But there was also another big snag for them.
There was.
They wanted Ty Lue to just take whatever they were willing to give him as his coaching assistants. He wanted, as most coaches do, you want to bring in your own staff, your own guys.
Of course you do. You want to be able to bring in the guys that you feel are going to help you compete for championships. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing here. You want to compete for championships, and you want to make sure that you have every piece in place to make sure that you have your offense that you want to implement, the defense you want to implement, and be able to have it be a cohesive unit. But when you have a franchise, I feel it kind of forces this on you. Not that saying kids ain't bad or anything. Nothing against him. But is that the guy he actually wants?
Obviously not. I mean, that's what one of the big snags for this situation is that not only did he want a 5-year deal, they offered 3. They were adamant about Jason Kidd being an assistant on the staff.
Right.
Obviously, Ty Lue didn't want that. So that was one of the things. But the reason they wanted that is because they were so high on Jason Kidd when he interviewed for the head coaching job. I guess last month he had an interview, and apparently he made a really strong impression on management, and they wanted him to be on the staff in some capacity. He's had some success.
I mean, it's been only since January since he's coached, and that was with Milwaukee. So, I mean, hasn't been like years since he's coached.
Well, it's been over a year because he got fired in the middle of
January 2018. Let me clarify.
Right,
sorry,
yeah,
it has
January
been over
18.
But it hasn't been like, years upon years. And it's not like he's been like away from the game that long. So maybe
it could work. But so when he came off immediately out of retirement, got hired by Brooklyn, which was a crazy move in and of itself.
Yeah.
He did okay, but they traded him the very next year. You don't ever see coaches get traded, and he got traded to Milwaukee and was there for 2.5 years.
Roughly.
But he's basically instrumental in creating that defensive mentality that the Bucks you see now this year that they have. But the big problem here was they weren't producing while he was there, which is why he got fired after a modest 23-22 start. And now, of course, you see the first year of the new regime and look at where they're at. Number 1 seed, most wins in the NBA. They've got home court advantage. They just blew through the second round of the playoffs nobody was expecting. And now they're awaiting to see who they're going to play between the Sixers and the I forget. I'm spacing. Who they play? Oh, yeah, the Raptors.
Yeah, that team I have. That's
the team that you have. So
go to the finals.
So what's really interesting is why, in the fact that they were willing to do this now, is they say, well, we want him to be on the staff. Why don't you just hire him as a head coach?
It doesn't make sense. Maybe they don't feel like they can trust just giving him the keys. Maybe because you want someone that's a little bit more established. And people know who Frank Vogel is. At the end of the day, Frank Vogel is an established coach. He's found success. The guy knows how to win games and how to inspire players. He even coached the Magic, even though that was what it was.
Those 2 years weren't what he expected.
No, they weren't. There's a lot of things where ownership of the Magic honestly completely failed him. But at the end of the day, though, Frank Vogel is a great head coach. I don't feel Jason Kidd is a guy who's on the level of a Frank Vogel. I don't feel that if you had to choose between Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd to be your head coach, it would play out this way every single time.
I agree. That's ideally what they were thinking too. He's had some issues in the past, Jason Kidd, where he's had some run-ins with players because he has a very kind of tyrannistic style of the way he coaches, which is kind of an old school way of doing things, but it's not really conducive to the way that the NBA is nowadays.
No, it really isn't.
And Frank Vogel is actually more of a player's coach, which you kind of have to be nowadays.
Especially when you have LeBron sitting there and you have all these young players around him, you need to find something that's going to be the middle ground. And what better way than a head coach that not only can be able to get the respect of LeBron, be able to work with LeBron, but be able to get these young players coached up so we can maybe get some cohesiveness in LA.
That's the interesting part, is I've seen reports that Frank Vogel will gain no respect from LeBron. He does not respect him, which is really weird. And
I find that very strange.
I find that very strange because he's been a very successful head coach when he was in Indiana. Mm-hmm. So what makes him not respectable in your eyes? He's not a... I don't want to get too close to the line here, but he's not a Ty Lue. He's not a Mike Brown. He's not a Mike Woodson. You kind of see where I'm going here with these coaches.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, though, it is still Frank Vogel. And I feel that maybe LeBron is approaching this in an unfair manner. He hasn't even come out and said anything just yet. Well, he hasn't.
So we don't know. We don't know.
But for there to be speculation there has to be something.
True.
This
Very
can't
true.
just be pulled out of thin air. Now, I know the media likes to do things that they do, but you know what? We're honest people here on Final Score. So at the end of the day, there has to be some reason why this is coming up. So if there is some type of animosity, any type of friction, some type of reasoning behind why these two would not be able to meet eye to eye, what are you going to be left with? Like, honestly.
Well, and that goes into playing into just the dysfunction of this organization right now, because right before Frank Vogel was hired as coach, I mean, this head coaching search was wide open, but a lot of people were dropping out because of the fact that they were told right away, hey, Rob Pelinka is going to be heading up operations in lieu of Magic Johnson now that he's gone, and that's going to be your boss. Rob Pelinka knows... He clearly knows very little. He's done some trades.
We could get you in, and I think could do maybe a little bit better job. So
I've been saying it for a couple weeks. My 2K team is great. So LA, hey, call me. But Rob Pelinka is not respected as a senior management NBA executive.
No, he's definitely not. He's not a guy who's been able to do anything near to the level of what a lot of these other GMs have been able to pull off. So for him to really kind of just, I feel like, be thrown in here as pretty much a stopgap until they can figure something out, I feel like it's all this is it.
I don't think he's a stopgap. Jeannie Buss loves him. He has what? I'm
sure Jeannie Buss loves getting up and drinking a nice tall glass of whatever in the morning too. But it doesn't change the fact that this is not going to be the guy.
You saying there's something else going on there?
I mean, I don't like to throw out speculation to that level, but I'm sure she's a lonely person. No, we're not even going to go there. We're not even going to go there. But at the end of the day, though, she has to be able to understand to some extent that he is not a guy that's going to be able to do this job to the capacity that she wants. That is to the Lakers standard.
Right, and I don't think she cares right now. She clearly doesn't, and that's what comes up. And one of the other people that have been tied to the Lakers organization since this whole head coaching start, Kurt Rambis.
Yes.
So not the fact that he's involved in the head coaching search, but the reason he's involved, he's a close personal friend of Jeannie Buss, and his wife, Linda, and her are very close friends. So Kurt Rambis has had some front office experience, but he also has not had a lot of success. So the fact that this is just feeding into the problems that all the fans have with this organization because of their connection and not necessarily his success on or off the court.
Yes, but with this whole situation, it's going to lead to fan backlash, which, wait a minute, we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Friday.
We ended up having a protest outside the Staples Center in L.A. Where fans were expressing their disgust with Jeannie Buss and the current state of the Lakers organization. And when the whole front office was in, where were they? El Segundo. That's where they're not even at the Staples Center.
That's where their off-season office is, and nobody was there. So why would you do a protest outside of Staples when nobody's there?
Well, I'm sure the fans didn't even research it. I'm sure they didn't even research it. But still, I feel this is becoming systematic of a larger issue. It's starting to snowball a little bit here.
Yeah, I think it is. I agree.
Because if they don't start finding some type of success with Frank Vogel right out the gate going into this next season, your fans are going to be calling for heads. And honestly, I feel the pressure.
They already are.
Well, obviously, they're protesting outside the Staples Center. But Jeannie Buss is going to have to understand at some point that maybe this isn't something she can do anymore. Maybe this isn't something that she needs to be handling anymore.
Yeah.
And honestly, if they don't find success over the course of the next 3 years, and it'll be maxed out at 3 years, it will not go beyond that point, I could see Jeannie Buss selling the Lakers.
I don't think she will because it's too much of a moneymaker. NBA franchises are not as profitable as NFL's.
But we are
franchises.
talking about the Lakers in LA.
But yeah, we are talking about the LA Lakers. So I don't think it's 3 years. I think this gets worse if the Lakers don't at least make the playoffs next year. Ooh. I think it gets worse this summer if he doesn't get another star in there.
Oh, it's gonna get worse no matter what, I feel like. But I feel like things are going to deteriorate to that point. I feel they're going to try and make moves for players that they're not going to get. Not because they don't want to go to the LA market, but because you're going to a dumpster fire of an organization that has no idea what it wants to do right now.
I almost feel bad for LeBron.
Almost. And that takes a lot for me to say.
That takes a lot.
Oh, I know.
Because I've watched him destroy Detroit in the same division for so long.
I mean, that's not really hard to do these days, though.
It's not. I mean, it's not. But it started when we were still at the end of our Eastern Conference Final consecutive year run. But this situation that he's in, every organization that he's been in, the first time in Cleveland, he had a strong front office that knew what they were doing. You go to Miami, you got Pat Riley. You got the mecca of front offices outside of San Antonio there. Mm-hmm. And then you go back to Cleveland, you still had Dave Griffin, who's now the GM of the Pelicans in New Orleans. But you had 3 really good organizational setups. And then you go to the Lakers, which are a past agent and a guy who used to play for the Lakers but then quit a year in.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah, because that all makes sense. But the funniest thing about that whole protest situation we were talking about is other teams went there just to troll the Laker fans. Clippers fans were there trolling. Suns fans, Phoenix Suns fans, for as bad as their organization is right now, they are actually happy that they're not Lakers fans right now. That's how bad you've got it. When Phoenix faithful are making fun of you as a Lakers fan, you know you got it bad.
Oh my gosh, that's so horrible to say. But you know what? When the Lakers go 37-45, what do you expect? I mean, this is not even Lakers' norm.
37 wins with a LeBron team also. And I mean, they failed the attempt to get AD, which they could still do that somehow. But if they weren't going to get on the phone with Pelinka before when they had Magic, they sure as hell ain't going to get on the phone with him now when Magic's gone. And he's the guy that you have to go through to make these trades. There's no way Griffin trades AD to LA just to appease LeBron.
Definitely not.
There's no way. Even with their past connection.
No, there's not. And that's the thing is that the Lakers are going to be trying to rely on a lot of different avenues of relationships to try and pull off moves. And it's not going to work because The players aren't even going to want to go there. AD's not going to want to play in LA. I'm sorry. There's no way.
AD would play with LeBron.
You would play with LeBron.
Right.
But I don't think it would be in LA. And that's one thing I'm looking at. And that's something that's been coming up too, is that should the Lakers trade LeBron?
If I was heading up that team, if I'm Rod Pelinka, I'm listening to offers for LeBron.
Absolutely.
No, if it's nothing against him.
No.
Because I mean, he wants to be there. The lifestyle, his business ventures. Obviously, it's the biggest market in the country or in the world for NBA.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of the biggest markets in the world, period.
Right.
So I mean, it's where you want to be if you're LeBron. But I mean, unless he's got a no trade clause, if you're Rob Pelinka, I would be listening to people calling about LeBron. I don't think anybody's lining up because they know he wants to be in LA. Unless maybe they call across the hall.
I'm saying call right across the hall to the Clippers. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to take LeBron off their hands.
There's no way they would give it to their so-called little brother. There's no way. There's no way.
This is a new wave of NBA, sir.
I know, because they've actually made the playoffs. And they made a series out of it with the Warriors. So
LeBron's able to...
Who's little brother now?
That's what I'm saying. And if LeBron's able to keep his LA lifestyle and go to a team that's contending... It would only make sense.
That would make that team 10 times worse if he went there to the Clippers.
Oh, I agree.
They have a great core already. They're talking about on other media outlets that should they even try to sign a free agent because it'll screw up their chemistry. I mean, that's how good they feel.
When you have those kind of talks, those are good problems to have.
Those are good problems to have.
Good problems to have. But you know what? There's a lot of teams that had all kinds of problems so far these playoffs.
They actually made the playoffs first and foremost.
Yeah, these are teams that have made the playoffs. But looking at some of our playoff matchups that we had, we're going to do a little bit of a recap, and we're going to talk about Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics right off the top. We all know how that ended.
This was crazy. I was shocked. I didn't realize that or think that it would even go this quickly. I thought this would be a 6 or 7 game series.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you have the matchup of Giannis and Kyrie. You know, I thought it was going to be great chemistry, great hard play, and really it was Boston getting the hoorah in the very first game, and then Milwaukee just drudging what was left of the Celtics.
Yeah, they took it personally for game 2, losing game 1 at home, and I mean Giannis. Even in the final game when they beat Boston 116-91, I mean Giannis only had 20, but I mean they wanted to close this team out because they know you don't want to let a team like Boston hang around with or without Kyrie Irving. I mean they knew what they wanted to do, but Giannis has been crazy in this series. He's led all scorers in 4 of the 5 games. 29, 32, 39 in game 4, and then 20 in game 5. I mean, he's been playing lights out, averaging 28 a game, 28 and 11 in this series alone.
That's been absolutely sick. But again, Milwaukee was able to just take them to the woodshed, take this whole series 4-1, and really didn't allow Boston to breathe in either of the last 4 games whatsoever. And even if you look at the margin of victory, Game 2, they went out and won by 21 points.
Yep.
21 points. So it's just crazy to me how Milwaukee was able to just turn it on and put them away. But all this beckons to a much larger question. How does this affect Kyrie Irving's offseason?
I think he's gone first and foremost. I don't think he stays in Boston. As much as he likes to be the number 1 guy, I think he knows the writing's on the wall because Brad Stevens is a team coach. He's not a here you go, star player, take the ball and go.
Right.
He makes guys play with each other, which is not Kyrie's thing. I mean, yeah, he played with LeBron and he had a lot of success, but a lot of it was let LeBron do all the work until the 4th quarter, and then you take over and close games, which is how they won the NBA championship in Cleveland, is they let LeBron carry the load of the whole series, all the workload, and then when it came down to crunch time, when LeBron started struggling or he got tired, just give it to Kyrie. You know he's going to still get his 20-25 a game.
But here's the big thing. And while I absolutely agree, Kyrie's gone. There's no way he stays in Boston at this point. I could definitely see a reunion happening in LA.
That's been a big rumor.
I really could see that happening because I know it's been, 2 years now since the massive Cleveland divorce where you had Kyrie request his trade out of Cleveland, which ended up seeing him land in Boston. But at the end of the day, apparently there's been a lot of rumors that they've been able to at least talk to one another, start mending the fences.
Well, the big media apology that he made earlier this season definitely helped mend fences there.
Absolutely it did. And the thing that I see is that if LeBron wants someone he knows that can ball and that is going to be available and that might just enjoy that LA lifestyle with him, Kyrie Irving is going to be that guy. He's going to be a great compliment because like we saw in Cleveland, like you just said, LeBron does all the work. Kyrie comes in and mops up. Now, obviously, I don't think the dynamic would be quite to that level. I think it'll be a little bit more on Kyrie, but it's still going to be LeBron's show. But Kyrie will be able to still go out and flourish by having someone like that to team up with.
I think the big thing that if those two get back together, it will be like you said, where LeBron defers a little bit more to Kyrie. Mm-hmm. But I think part of it is just going to be the fact that LeBron knows he's getting up there and he can't shoulder the load. He tried this year. He got hurt and he's been battling that injury. And here's the issue you have. You can't conceivably sign them both to max contracts or close to max contracts. So if I'm LeBron, which he has not done this ever in his lifetime.
Are you going to say what I think you're going to say?
Being in the NBA, take a pay cut.
Ooh, he said those magic words.
Take a pay cut. How much money has he made in the NBA? He could take a pay cut
Not
for
including
at least
endorsements.
He could take a pay cut for the next couple years to finish out his deal in LA. And by that time, okay, maybe he's like 38 years old and he's okay, ready to retire. Then go back to Cleveland and one day retire as a one-day contract and whatever. Your last couple years, take a bit of a pay cut. I mean, even if it's a $10 million pay cut, which he's making, $35 million roughly?
He's making plenty.
You could still make in the mid-20s and you're well off. You'll set your family up for lifetime already in 1 year. But you're giving Kyrie a chance to be the guy that he didn't have that dynamic when they were in Cleveland. So it'll be interesting. Kyrie's been tied to the Nets, the Knicks, because he's from the New Jersey area, and that's probably the most ideal. There's a lot of talk that it's already a done deal that him and KD are going to go to New York together and they're going to play for the Knicks. And
but who wants to go to that dumpster fire? Really, who wants to go to that? I know it's a great market. Don't get me wrong.
It's a great market, but I mean, if you got James Dolan running the show, I mean, it's not clearly it hasn't been working, and
clearly.
So,
but
they haven't been running that franchise well in 20 years.
I was about to say since the Michael Irvin days. So it's bad. Really.
It's been a while.
Remember those days of Patrick Ewing,
John Starks? Yeah.
Oh man, taking
Oakley.
it back.
Charles Oakley?
Yeah. Taking it back. But switching gears to somewhere not too far from New York, Philadelphia has been having their hands full with Toronto. And literally, they've all just been just going back and forth. Toronto took game one. Then the 76ers took the next two. Then Toronto took the next two. Now the 76ers have tied it up at 3 games apiece. This has turned out to be an amazing series. And we are down to one game. Game 7. Sunday, May 12th, 7 p.m. on TNT. And I tell you what, I think this is going to be another classic to finally close out this series.
The key here is 2 things. First of all, you got to get Joel Embiid in the right frame of mind.
Yes.
If he is not in a killer instinct, you're losing the game.
Automatic.
You're losing the game. No questions about it. The other key is not only does Joel Embiid have to be in a killer instinct mode, Jimmy Butler, you got to run through Jimmy Butler at least to some extent because he's by far been one of your best players on this team if you are the 76ers.
Absolutely.
He's not shooting well from three, but I mean, he's shooting about 50% from the floor in this series, 23 points, and he's getting a decent amount of rebounds and assists, averaging 7 and 6 respectively, averaging a steal a game. This guy is playing as well as you could ask, because you know what he's playing for. He's playing for a new team next year, so he's trying to play for a contract this summer. What better way to do it than to put this team on your shoulders and win and put the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals?
But sadly, that's not what's going to happen. You know why?
Oh, because I know you got the Raptors.
Because Kawhi Leonard, honestly, has been killing. He's been averaging over 33 points a game.
Yep.
Has been absolutely out of his mind. Has been able to really match up well with 76ers in almost every facet, and has had some nice little support. Oh yeah, what was that guy that I couldn't pronounce his name not too long ago? Oh yeah, Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, there you go.
See, I learned.
Been studying.
I've been studying.
And
he's averaging almost 21 points a game. Has been playing real well. So I really feel Toronto still has it there to be able to make some noise and really close out this series and hopefully close out my prediction so I can get something right this year. But at the end of the day, though, the 76ers, like you said, they are going to be a tough matchup. But I feel that the Leonard effect, the Kawhi Leonard effect, is really what's going to end up being the deciding factor. Embiid playing well is usually what helps the 76ers. But I don't think it's going to matter. And I think Leonard's going to help them take Game 7.
Leonard does have to have a good game. I will give you that.
Absolutely. He has
to.
Because if he doesn't, then this is a much different story.
Definitely a much different story. But I think in this Game 7, who has to show up? Obviously, Kyle Lowry has not shown up.
Oh, at all. He's under 15 points a game. He's been playing.
He's almost shooting under 40% from the floor.
Yeah.
He's shooting 28% from three. Awful. He's been playing terrible in this series. He's not. I mean, I wouldn't say terrible, but he hasn't been playing up to his level.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not been playing up to his level. I think two people that you have to watch out for in Game 7. Danny Green's got to step up, and Marc Gasol.
Just about to say.
You went and got Marc Gasol for this reason alone. You got him to stretch the floor and to provide an extra option on offense. So, I mean, I know he's averaging only 9 points and 4 boards, but he's shooting 33% from the field. He gets to the line. He's a matchup nightmare because he can play inside, he can play outside, pick and roll, pick and pop. He can do everything you need to. And he can stretch Joel Embiid away from the basket. So guess what? That opens up the cutting lanes for the Kawhis and the Siakams. It opens that up for them.
Absolutely.
And I said Danny Green, he's shooting almost 40% from three this series. He's got to come up with some big time threes. I think if he hits 4 threes in Game 7, I think he ends up pushing them over the top in some big moments.
Absolutely, and I can absolutely agree with that. But looking at the 76ers as well, I don't want to count them out. Obviously, 76ers have gotten here for a reason.
And they're my pick to make the finals, so I'm, of course, rooting for you Sixers fans.
But I don't think Embiid's going to end up being the factor for them, honestly, and some people might call me crazy. Not. You know who they might need to come up and actually step up for them?
I already know who you're going to say.
JJ Redick.
That's not who I thought you were going to say.
I caught you off guard with that one.
You did.
Because, honestly, JJ Redick can be a great contributor, but he hasn't really been all there at all times. And that's the one thing that I've seen in this series is that he's been hit or miss. If they can get him going, especially from the three-point line.
But he's shooting 40%, 39% from three. I mean, that's kind of what you expect out of him.
Yeah.
But I agree. You got to get whoever's guarding him, you got to make sure he gets some separation off those screens, whether it's coming off a curl or he runs in a pick and roll or whatever you got to do. I agree. You do have to get him open so he can do what he does best.
Because honestly, if you can get Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid running the way they should, start bringing some of the players into the paint, leave JJ Redick out in the open. That's money all day because JJ Redick wasn't a college 3-point champ for nothing.
Very true.
Just saying.
Tobias Harris has got to step up too.
He definitely does.
Tobias Harris, I've watched him from his days in Orlando, Detroit. I loved him when he was on the Pistons. And I think he brings...
He loved anybody who was on the Pistons.
Well, that's not true. Not true.
Well, that's for another time, though.
That's for another time. That's another story for another time. But Tobias Harris is such a matchup nightmare in a bunch of respects.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is he 6'9", 6'10", and he's a point forward. This guy he's listed as a small forward. He can play in the post against smaller players. He's got the post moves for it. He can play against bigger opponents because he can get by them, or he can shoot from the outside if he's shooting well. He's definitely a factor from outside. He can run pick and roll. He can run your offense because obviously Ben Simmons can't unless he's running downhill on a fast break. He can't run a half court offense, so forget about him. Tobias Harris has got to be the guy you have to run your point and get the other guys involved. JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid. That's got to be the guy you have to run through to at least start your offense.
But what I don't like about Tobias Harris right now, though, is that he's just not playing well. He's shooting less than 40% from the field. He's shooting 26% for three, which he's not like the biggest three-pointer guy, but still, your overall shooting is garbage right now in this series. But he's still averaging almost 14 points a game. So he's able to find something. He's obviously doing this through a volume attempt, but they need to be able to focus him, get him where he needs to be in position to be able to be effective. And that's where I feel like they've been lacking when it comes to Tobias Harris, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see come Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for this. It'll be really interesting to see how Joel Embiid comes out for this game. I mean, obviously you would think, being a professional athlete, Game 7 on the road, you've got to come up and play your A game. Mm-hmm. But it depends. Does he settle like he did earlier in the series, where he just takes three-pointers when they're available? Or, I mean, he's 8 of 20 in this series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to try to reel him in at some point if he's taking too many threes. So he's got to make sure that he gets the matchups in the post against the Siakams and Gasol and Ibaka. Try to get those guys in foul trouble. Mm-hmm. He's great at drawing fouls. Use that to your advantage, and this could be a really different game if Siakam, Gasol, or even Ibaka gets in foul trouble early.
Definitely could be, but we'll definitely find out May 12th, 7 p.m. on TNT. Definitely going to be an exciting game, and I can't wait to see who wins that one. But shifting gears over to the Western Conference semifinals, we finally had a conclusion to one of our series, and that's Golden State and the Houston Rockets, and it pains me. It pains me greatly because I picked Houston to win it all this year, but sadly they came up a little short. These games, though, were amazing. Most all of them separated by less than 10 points. Actually, I think all of them. And it's really been a great series. Golden State took the first two by only a combined 8 points. It's just crazy. Houston needed overtime to win Game 3 to even stay alive in this. It was great. But Golden State ended up finishing off in Game 6, 118-113, behind a flurry from Curry.
I like what you did there.
Might have to coin that at some point.
A flurry from Curry.
A flurry from Curry after having 0 points. 0 points in the first half. Ends up dropping 33 in the second half to take Game 6. It was totally amazing. And, little side note, didn't have Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he had that calf strain from Game 5. And, man, when I saw that did not look like a calf strain to me. That looked like something much worse.
Absolutely. But
they're saying it's a grade, I think it was between a grade 1 and 2 calf strain. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he could be out for a couple weeks. But anyway, as far as this game is concerned, I mean, this shows you everybody was worried about what's going to become of Curry and Thompson when Durant's gone, because he's now a different dynamic because you have a much different team with him there. Obviously, this shows you they're okay. They're completely okay.
Apparently, they always have a good track record even without KD, and that's the crazy thing when you're looking at it, is that Golden State will just still find ways to win. Even in this game where they didn't have the leading scorer. James Harden dropped 35 in this game.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry, 33 in the second half. I still don't know how he did that. That's just crazy. But
it's Steph Curry, man. He's the greatest shooter that we have ever seen in our lifetime, and we're watching him right now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely have to agree with that, and he shows it when he gets into these high-pressure situations. Literally, series is on the line. You win this game, you advance, and he knew he'd just put up that goose egg in the first half. But what did he do? Like a true consummate professional and champion, went out there and showed what he needs to do to win games and win series.
And win the series. The funniest thing about this series, or the most interesting thing, was before the game, Chris Paul kicked Curry off the court because he was trying to get a pregame shoot-around in. Mm-hmm. Kicked him off the court because their home court there in Houston. So Steph Curry clearly took that personally and made sure it was known after the game, quoting, "Kick me off the court again, boy." I mean, this dude's older than you.
Yeah.
you just disrespect him like that.
For real.
But, I mean, he had a hell of a game. Klay Thompson added 27, and this just is really interesting dynamic because now you've got Chris Paul, who still hasn't been to an NBA final. He's probably never going to win an NBA championship. And it's really sad because he's been one of the greatest point guards of the past decade and a half, and we won't get a chance to see him.
I mean, Chris Paul's still 33. I mean, there's still some room there. Maybe
he's clearly lost a few steps though.
Absolutely, he absolutely has, and it's kind of sad.
He's been hurt a lot too.
Yeah, maybe he's a guy who ends up being like a sixth man, and just ends up getting a ring for old time's sake. Maybe.
He still thinks he can start, and I mean on this team he can definitely start because Austin Rivers is good, but he's not going to take over the starting role from Chris Paul.
Not. And at the end of the day, Chris Paul still is a great player. It's just you're 33, bro.
Eventually, I mean, it's unfortunate because
I know from experience.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he's played decently well in the series. I mean, 16 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals. I mean, he's been playing decently well. It's just it just didn't fall for them the way that they had hoped.
But, sometimes it's the way things are. But when we talk about things, the way things are, let me get my words out correctly.
Yeah.
We are going to need a Game 7 for our other Western Conference semifinal between the Portland Trailblazers and the Denver Nuggets. That's right.
You took it there.
I took it there. But their game also at Sunday, May 12th. Last I checked, they hadn't announced the time or network yet.
It's probably going to be after.
Be a late game.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be after.
Well, it's going to be in Denver, so I assume it's probably going to end up being probably like a 10 o'clock game or so anyways, 10:30 maybe. But it's definitely been a very interesting series.
Update. 3:30. It's the first game of the two.
Oh, they're going to make it the early game.
It's the early game, and then the Toronto-Philly game is at 7.
Yes, which will be on TNT. So it's going to be exciting. But looking at this series, tied 3-3, definitely needing Game 7. Denver took the first one, 121-113, kind of setting the mark. But then Portland ended up taking the next two, including a quadruple overtime thriller that Portland won 140-137. But then...
that game is insane.
Yeah, that game was insane. If you get a chance, go back, check that one out because that one was for the ages. But Game 4, Game 5, Denver take both. Portland wins that Game 6 to tie it all up. And here we are getting ready for another Game 7 on the same day.
Yeah, and this one's going to be in Denver, which will be an interesting dynamic. But, I mean, Denver, for all the naysayers throughout the playoffs of how far they're going to make it, they almost didn't make it out of the San Antonio series. But they've been playing really well in this series. And this has been one of my favorite series all playoffs. Outside of the Brooklyn-Philadelphia series, which I absolutely loved, this is probably one of the other top series because you've got two teams that go out there and they don't complain about calls. They don't complain about what's going on with the referees off the court, or they don't complain about what's going on the court. They don't get into that.
Yeah.
They just go out and they handle their business.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a refresher, really.
Very refreshing.
Very refreshing.
But you know what? When looking at this series, it's really been amazing. We look at Jokic, who's been able to stay consistent, almost 27 points a game, been shooting over 50%. Guy's been looking great. And, 50% from 3? Come on. That's awesome.
Joker's the MVP right now of this series. I mean, he is playing lights out. No disrespect to McCollum or Lillard, but he has been playing in such a high level. And think about it. He's only 23 years old. He's so young.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But he's been playing lights out. this whole series.
But thing is that you got to look with, especially with Portland, that they have a guy I feel like could really be the X factor. The guy that really could help turn the course of this particular game. And that's Rodney Hood. Have you seen how Rodney Hood's been shooting?
He's been playing really, really well.
Exactly. If you give him a few more
out.
minutes, he's been shooting about 60%, 57% from three.
Yeah.
And the guy's been great from the stripe for free throws. He just hasn't had as many minutes. Because if you look at all the guys lined up against him, only 25 minutes per game. Honestly, you get him in a little more, I think they end up turning this game.
Well, he provides a really good spark off the bench for them. And that's exactly what you need, because you got Lillard and McCollum that play off of each other so well. And usually when you have that kind of a 1-2 punch in the backcourt, when they come off, you see a drop off.
Absolutely.
So it's really great for the Portland Trailblazers to have a guy like Rodney Hood who plays the way he does when he comes off. And even Seth Curry comes in. Seth Curry doesn't play a whole lot of minutes. He plays 20 minutes a game, but I mean, he's a Curry. He shoots and he can get hot, and he can play lights out at times too.
Definitely.
But I agree. I think he's been a big X factor along with Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter, of course, we talked about last week. He came from the New York Knicks. They smartly let him go, I guess. But
one way to look at it.
He thanks them for his success this year. So there you go. New York, you got a nice headline until you draft Zion.
That's right. But I tell you what, this is going to be very exciting, though. Who's going to come out on top in this?
Being in Denver, this is really going to be interesting because of the fact that Jokic, they play through Jokic, so he's got to play well for this game to flow the way that Denver wants it to. But I mean, this is a legitimate toss-up.
Yes.
Because you had the one blowout in Game 5 by Denver, but I mean, I'm going to call Portland here.
Oh.
I think Portland takes it, and I think Dame Lillard has one of the best nights he's had all series. I think he steps up, and it's Dame time.
Ooh.
I think it's Dame time in Game 7, and I think he steps up. He probably hits some big shots late down the stretch in the fourth quarter to either pull them ahead, or I wouldn't even be surprised he gets the game-winning shot here, nails it, sends them for a date in the Western Conference Finals with the Warriors.
That's a tall order there, sir.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know what's really going to happen? Jokic's going to be Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets are going to show why they're gold as they put down the Trailblazers and move on to take on the Golden State Warriors. Because I need something to believe in at this point. Houston has failed me.
Well, Denver has been showing everybody that they are playing above and beyond expectations, and all the doubters, myself included, they're showing them exactly what they can do. So, I mean, props to them. They've had a great season, and I wouldn't be mad at either of these teams moving on to the next round of the playoffs. I think Portland's got a bit of a better shot, though, if they move on.
Well, we'll definitely see, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have to go against Golden State. So
it's a buzzsaw right now.
Yeah, with or without Kevin Durant, they can just win. So, definitely something to keep in mind. But when looking at that possible Western Conference matchup, how will KD's injury really come into effect with that? Do you think that, because I know you think Portland might have a slightly better chance, but is it really going to matter too much, do you think?
Well, you got to think of KD in the series against the Rockets. He averaged 33 points a game. He shot over 40% from the field and from three. And he brings a different dynamic. He brings a go-to scorer, to that team. So I think it will affect the Warriors no matter what.
Oh, definitely.
However, I think if it were the Warriors and the Nuggets, they did not have a good track record, the Nuggets, against the Warriors this year. They lost 3 out of 4, and the one they won was in October early in the year, and they won by 2 at home. So, I mean, the other ones have been blowouts. Warriors won 142-111.
Ouch.
Then the game 3, 122-105. The last game in April, 116-102. So, I mean, these games have not been close. But KD has been there, so that will affect him a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a 5-game series if the Nuggets play against the Warriors. And I think the Warriors roll through that series.
But here's the thing I look, and this is even against Houston, is that Kevin Durant was averaging like 33 points a game. So that's a huge amount of your offense out the window. So
right, but
maybe it changes, but we are talking about
You're talking
Denver.
about the Splash Brothers here.
Yes.
They both had, Clay almost had 30 himself.
This is true.
If you take them out of it, you're still looking at, the Warriors are average 118 points a game. The Nuggets are averaging 110. Blazers averaging 112. But they're still, it still should be an interesting series no matter what.
Yeah, definitely is going to be something to watch. Definitely make sure you catch it. But looking at some of the other playoffs that are going on around the country, what's that one? They play it on ice, gets real crazy. Oh, yeah, the NHL playoffs.
Oh, yeah, hockey.
That's right. It's been completely wild. A lot of craziness. It seemed this is literally a playoffs for the ages. We've seen the top teams go down.
I love every minute of it.
I'm loving crazy.
Every minute of this.
It's so crazy. Just to kind of bring you up to speed, we definitely saw both number ones go down in epic flames of glory.
All of the number ones.
Not even just the number one teams in each. No. All the number ones are gone. All the division
leaders gone.
All of them are gone. So now we're looking at where the Boston Bruins end up playing the Columbus Blue Jackets in the semis in the Eastern Conference. Who would have thought that? Ended up Boston was able to close it out, won the series 4-2. Then you had the Islanders and the Hurricanes. Hurricanes completely swept the Islanders.
Did not see that coming.
And the Hurricanes were a wild card.
Yeah, they were the top wild card in this Eastern Conference, but they clearly have something to prove. They've been playing very, very well throughout the course of this season, and I was very surprised that they swept the Islanders, especially how the Islanders played so well against Pittsburgh.
Oh, real solid.
And they swept Pittsburgh, so I was thinking this would probably be like a 6 or 7 game series like most of these playoff series have been.
Definitely.
But credit to the bunch of jerks in Carolina. Congrats to you guys.
Yeah, you guys are making it happen and have a date with destiny. But looking at the Western Conference, before we talk about people's destinies, we had another, not one, but 2 exciting series.
2 7-game series. I love playoff hockey for this exact reason.
Yes, exactly.
You have teams like these matchups in the Western Conference, and every single shift, every single minute of every single game, anything could happen. And these teams went out and played their hearts out, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, they played their hearts out to the tune of the San Jose Sharks taking down the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, they're still alive.
Bring it.
They ended up taking that series 4-3. St. Louis Blues, who really have been a team of old now, has been able to revitalize their franchise along with the Dallas Stars, but Blues come out on top, taking down the Stars 4-3.
That was a bit surprising because having that 7th game, I think it was in. Oh no, it was in St. Louis. I thought Game 6 in Dallas would have closed it out, but credit to St. Louis, they had to win back-to-back games 6 and 7 just to win this series and get to the Western Finals. So it's been just a hell of a playoff series in the NHL. And I loved the San Jose Colorado series, even though yes, I do have San Jose in the Stanley Cup final, but Colorado has played lights out. It is just a tale of 2 different teams. Colorado's the young upstart team. They've got a lot of young talent that is just ready to impose their will on this league. And San Jose is the old veteran team that just knows how to win games. They're trying to win one more for Joe Thornton. And as much as I hated him 10 years ago when they were playing the Red Wings every year in the playoffs, I'm rooting for him right now. The Shark Tank is going to bring it against St. Louis. They better be ready.
Oh, they are already bringing it, because if you were watching right now, obviously, we have our little delay because Final Score is taped. So, you already know the score. But as of right now, San Jose is up 5-2 in the third period against St. Louis, really bringing it to them hard. So definitely going to be interesting. And actually, I think we just had another update. St. Louis actually just scored.
Scored 5-3.
Just scored. Now it's 5-3 with 7 left. That was a score by Tyler Bozak, assisted by Patrick Maroon. So it definitely might turn into a series. So we'll definitely have to see what happens with this one.
Well, one of the things that I mentioned to watch out for, which is why I had San Jose in the Stanley Cup final, they were one of the highest scoring teams, both in general and on the power play throughout the whole year. And just yet again, they are the second leading goal scoring team in this whole playoffs behind Boston at 43 goals. I mean, their differential is 0 because they give up almost as many as they do. Because for every 5-2 game that they win, like the Vegas series, they would lose the next game 5-2.
Yeah.
So their big thing is consistency, but you know they can score goals almost at will, like the Game 7 against Vegas, where they scored 3 or 4 goals in the span of 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it was insane.
That was crazy.
I loved that game. It was
That's
great.
A classic.
But I mean, if you look at them, the way they've played, they have played well enough, and they can score, like I said, at will. So I would not be surprised if St. Louis, hey, you've only scored 34 goals in this playoffs. You better bring it, because you're going to get a flurry of shots on your own net, and you got to be able to keep up with the Sharks.
Definitely that, and if you also look at the regular season matchups, they played each other 3 times this past season. Sharks taking 2 of those, and one was in overtime. The other one was 4-0 win. But St. Louis also had their own win 4-0. So we'll definitely see how it shakes out. But looking at the other side to the Eastern Conference Finals, we now have the Boston Bruins taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, and they've already played Game 1. Game 2 will be Sunday, May 12th, 3 p.m. on NBC. But Boston took Game 1 5-2 and currently leads this series. Who do you think's going to end up taking this one?
I think Boston takes this pretty handily. I mean, that Boston has been playing so well. They've got 45 goals. They got the best goal differential by far in the playoffs. They have a goal differential of 15. 15. The next highest is 6, and that's Carolina.
Funny enough.
So it's interesting. But these two teams are going to play very, very heated contests. I think Boston probably takes the first 2 at home. Carolina might even up the series at 2-2, but I think after that it's all Boston. So I think Boston probably takes it in 6. Potentially could take it in 5 if they could steal one on the road in Carolina.
Which is a tall order.
Which is definitely taller. They have been playing lights out at home. Their home crowd is into it, and they have been playing with so much energy when they're at home. So I think it'll be 2-2 going through 4 games, and then Game 5 and 6 will be, I think, where Boston you'll see pull away. They have to win one on the road, though, if they want to get this. If they want to close this team out and not get them in a potential striking distance of the Stanley Cup, you've got to get rid of them as soon as possible. Otherwise, they are going to hang around, and they will contend in a Game 7. If they make it there, I think it's a very tight game, and Carolina has a chance to win.
Absolutely, and I think Carolina will have a shot throughout this. I also see Boston taking this. Boston's just a stronger team overall, honestly, and I think Boston, like you said, is going to have to take one on the road if they want to be able to close this out early. And honestly, if you're looking down the barrel, possibly having to face the San Jose Sharks, you're definitely going to want to dispatch of Carolina as soon as you can. So definitely going to be an interesting series. I got Boston taking it in 6, though. Definitely, though, I think they'll win both games at home. I think they'll steal one on the road and then be able to close it out at home. So definitely will be interesting. But man, all these playoffs kind of wear you out, man.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's going to be good, and it hurts me because I'm having to sit here and really think who's going to win it all now in the hockey playoffs because my team got swept.
Yeah, you did.
God,
I mean, I had the Sharks losing to the Lightning as well, but you know how that worked. Yeah. So I mean, I'm pulling for the Sharks. I would love to see them because Boston. You got some great teams out there.
You don't need any more
different
titles.
Sports. You don't need any more. Let Joe Thornton have one more, and then he can retire in the sunset. You can go back and have it next year. Yeah. You'll still have the Patriots in football. Don't worry, you'll be fine.
And don't forget the Red Sox.
Who?
Hey, they're playing better now. We found where our bats were. They're hidden somewhere under Fenway. But anyways, at the end of the day, though, it's been really exciting for these playoffs, and definitely going to see some more exciting playoff games as we go forward. But one thing that we definitely need to do, though, is pay our light bill because we got big expensive lights now and they cost money. So sorry. So at the end of the day, we got cut to break. But definitely make sure that you stay tuned with us. When we come back, we're going to be bringing you the latest in NFL news, among many other things. So make sure that you stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The following support and sponsor Podcast City Network. City Limits Tap Room, sports bar in DeLand, Florida, has brew on tap, serve food, the grilled cheese is excellent. For upcoming events, check out City Limits Tap Room on Facebook.com/City Limits Tap Room. Atlantic Sounds has thousands of new and used vinyl records and CDs. If they don't have it, they can order it for you. Same location since 1982. For more updates on what's new, check out Atlantic Sounds on Facebook.com/Atlantic Sounds Vinyl. Sports Sanity Customs have worked with organizations from custom embroidering polo shirts to jerseys for your kids' baseball team. They do it all. Armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an in-house design team, they are equipped to take on your next project. Visit their website to learn more, sportsanitycustoms.com. Visit Sports Sanity Customs on Facebook.com/Sports Sanity Customs. 3 Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. Visit Facebook.com/3 Count Design for more. Demo Blast Studios, an explosion of imagination. Original artwork, podcasts, video, apparel and more. Visit demoblaststudios.com. Visit Demo Blast Studios on Facebook.com/Demoblast Studios, the best family entertainment pro wrestling show in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky's Own Wrestling brings quality family vintage wrestling to a town near you. Kentucky's Own Wrestling offers a ladies division in wrestling and a training school. Kentucky's Own Wrestling is the current longest running Southern promotion. Visit Facebook.com/Somerset Kentucky's Own Wrestling. All supporters and sponsors are brought to you by Podcast City Network.
And we are back here on Final Score, and it's been an exciting time so far. How are you liking it?
I like the new setup. I think it works pretty well. We can actually have a debate back and forth. You know?
We can actually talk. We can't necessarily reach each other. It makes it safe and awesome.
Yeah, it makes it safe. We can't. Yeah, it's great.
You know, because we actually worry about our equipment and things. You know.
Yeah,
so.
we don't want to break anything.
Yeah,
I mean, we just got the bright new shiny stuff. We don't want to. We don't want to hurt it.
We're forced civil now. Anyway, but looking at all. Definitely got some great news on the horizon here with NFL, and it's been a doozy. So much has been happening over the past week or so after we had pretty much just like nothing happening for the longest time after the draft. So, man, we need to start right at the top, and that's going to be with the Dolphins making cornerback Xavier Howard the highest paid corner in the NFL. Okay, he signed a 5-year, $76.5 million contract with $46 million guaranteed. Now, I have not always been a big fan of paying young players. He's only 25 years old. Got drafted in the second round in 2016 out of Baylor. He's a great player. I mean, a really great player. But he's still young. He made his first Pro Bowl last season and is now being touted as the cornerstone. Not even just, a great player, not the franchise player. No, the cornerstone of this franchise for their defense. Now, corners, I feel like, you can find a corner just about anywhere these days, I feel like. And there's always good young corners coming out. 7 interceptions in 12 games last year, which was tied for first, is a great stat to have. However, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this new wave of NFL where you are throwing not just stupid amounts of money, but stupid amounts of guaranteed money at young players who, great, you had one good season. Why are we going to automatically start throwing money at players for having one good season? I feel like you need to earn your time a little bit more with something like this. I feel like, okay, if you have 2-3 proven years, awesome. Get paid. You've shown that you can sustain it. One season, how many guys have we seen have one good season and then turn around and play like garbage from there on? You know who had one good season? Matt Castle had a good season one time. How'd that work out for him?
That one time?
Hey, Case Keenum had a great season one time. How'd that end? 38-7 in Philadelphia. That's how that ended. So I'm just saying, you know.
It's like you memorized that.
Hey, Philly Dilly. So anyways, at the end of the day, I feel like you need to allow a player to show that they can have consistency and success rather than just having, a one-off.
So I think this is the best news they've had in a while, but it's for good reason, not for bad reason. Because, remember the bad contracts they gave Ryan Tannehill a few years ago and how bad that ended up. And they gave even guys like, what was it, Andre Branch, they gave a terrible contract to.
That was a horrific
horrible. But this kind of a kid is what they're basically taking a step in the right direction as a franchise, where they're saying, hey, you work hard, you go ball out, we will take care of you. We're not going to let you walk away because we don't want to pay you, even though your potential could be up here. Remember, they traded up to pick 38 to take him in 2016.
That's right.
So, that's a guy that they really wanted and coveted, first of all. But from all the other reports that I've seen, is not only this isn't just about on the field, the fact that he had, like you said, one really great year and he's 25 years old, he's young. Mm-hmm. He's hardworking, humble, reserved. He's a playmaker. That's the kind of guy this new Miami regime wants to build around. So, if you're looking for that and you're trying to build for the future and trying to actually, have a decent franchise for the first time in 25 years or more,
if not longer,
relevant, if not more, more than that. I'm thinking back to the Zach Thomas days.
I was going to say, how long was 1972 ago?
Yeah. Hey, the 80s were decent. Okay. Marino just never won one. That's it.
That was the only downside, but that's usually the stat people remember.
I'm talking about just relevancy. They haven't necessarily been relevant since the Zach Thomas days, and I could be forgetting a few years, so pardon me. But
anybody's crying foul about Ryan Tannehill, that's a great thing to forget.
It's a great thing, but I think it's just because of his consistency, as far as how his work ethic's been. He's been healthy.
That's true.
Which is a big one.
That is true.
And I guess he's been a great leader in the locker room over the last year or two. So, if you're a GM and you're going off of that logic.
It's a no-brainer.
In locker room.
Yeah.
Who do you want? You want an OBJ type guy or you want this kind of a guy?
Well, I definitely want Xavier Howard. I don't want an OBJ coming in and being a cancer in my locker room. But at the same token, the guy's only been in the league 3 years. You have one Pro Bowl. Yes, consistency and work ethic is great, but I know
Pro Bowl is like a popularity contest. That's just, it's like giving away what's the end of the year high school awards. You get an award, you get an award, you get an award. Everybody gets awards.
Yeah, but he got it for a reason. 7 interceptions, 12 games in 2018. He was tied for first, so he definitely is a pick master. But that's about. He's good at form tackling. He's good. He has it all. He's good, but. I just don't agree with paying young players. If this guy had been in the league maybe 5 years already, has shown that he can stay consistent and be a top defender for multiple years in a row. That's something I'd like to invest in. Now, obviously, you want to get a guy before he goes and hits the open market. He does have only this last year left on his rookie deal. I get it. I do. But why not address this maybe a couple games into the season after he's maybe shown something more? Because I want to see a guy that can still do it. Because we could go out now to this new 2019 season that's coming out in a few months, and he lays a goose egg, gets burned in the first game, ends up not having an interception until week 8.
One game.
You know what I mean? Hey, I said week 8 for the interception now, okay? Let's pay attention here. So, the big thing is he hasn't proved that he has sustainable longevity when it comes to playing at a high level yet because he's young.
What if teams just stop throwing his way and he doesn't get a pick till week 8? Because I know you're the stats guy. You're the stats guy.
But we know there's someone who's going to be boneheaded enough at quarterback to throw it his way because at the end of the day, it's going to happen.
Well, otherwise, Patrick's on your team now. So,
well, yeah, but he's not going to be playing for the opposite team. So, you
got Josh Allen in the division.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you also got Tom Brady. But you know what? Here we are. But at the end of the day, with that logic, Josh Norman would be the best cornerback of all time right now. No, actually, I'll do you one better. Revis Island would still be a thing. But here we are.
They're comparing him to Revis in his heyday.
But I don't feel he's fully proven it yet. You've had one good year. How many guys have we seen come out and have one good year? Seriously.
I will agree with that.
So,
but here's where, and I'm reading into the contract right now, here's where it helps the Dolphins. his cap hit doesn't get crazy until like 2022. This year he only is going to make $9.5 million, which
still the end of his rookie deal.
It's still the end of his rookie deal.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get any higher than $14 million in 2022. But if they want to get out of the deal in year 3, they can. They can release him by only getting a cap hit of $9 million and only $4 million in dead weight.
Yeah, because I don't see anybody wanting to take him in a trade. So,
and those numbers continue to decline with the rest of the deal. So if he does crap and doesn't play up to the standards that his contract says, after basically you'll have to deal with it for a couple of years. But the cap hit isn't that crazy until year 2, 3, actually year 3, really.
Well, at least they've put up some type of shelter for themselves. But I feel like committing to something like this is just kind of systematic of a larger overall issue where you have guys that are getting paid stupid money and guys and teams that are taking chances on players that haven't proven anything. Like, for instance,
I think this is a little different because he's played a couple years.
It is, and he's a little bit more entrenched. But still, when you look at the overall, he's only been in the league 3 years. Kyler Murray just got a fully guaranteed deal.
Well, that's different, and I have a feeling why they did it.
I don't know. They should have gotten him some better shoes, but we'll touch on that later. At the end of the day,
you want to keep that for later? Okay,
we'll keep that for later. But at the end of the day, there used to be a point in time in sports where you took time with guys. If you wanted to throw him big money, he had to prove something, and not just prove it in one season, because anybody could be a one-trick pony.
Right, but you got to remember, again, this was not his rookie year. This is his third year. So his numbers may not have been there for the first 2. He may have just had one breakout year. But in that organization, they've seen him now for 3 years, and they're saying, this is the kind of guy that we want to back. This is the horse we're backing. And this is the kind of guy, like younger players, you guys want to come in and all you guys talking about how you want to make this bread and make all this money. This is the kind of guy you want to model yourself after. Because if you're not like this guy, Flores is going to boot you. You're gone.
Oh, for sure. But I feel like the only reason they threw the money at him is because he had 7 picks. Because looking at his other 2 years, his first year, he didn't really do anything. He had 40 combined tackles, 29 of which were solo, 1 was for loss. And that was pretty much it. There was no picks, no nothing. He did have one forced fumble.
I mean, how many games did he play, though?
He only played in 7 games.
There you go.
There is that. But even looking at 2017, his second year, plays all 16 games, does have 4 picks, 1 for a touchdown, 42 solo tackles, 48 combined tackles. No forced fumbles, anything like that, but he even had a sack. Got to give that in there. Great year. But the next year, his numbers dropped off dramatically. And that's one thing I see. He did only play in 12 games, but did have the 7 picks, but he only had 25 tackles. So he's nowhere near as productive, and all the rest of it was nothing.
So the tackles for a corner, I don't look at that too
not as
crazy.
Heavily as you would as the rest of the defenders, but it's still something you want to look at because when you're getting a lot of these running backs on outside sweeps, now the end of rounds become such a big thing.
True.
He's going to be the guy that's going to be there to get that tackle. And especially with the kind of defense Miami's attempted to run, the corners do like to kind of play up and play close to the line too. So, which is how he ended up getting the sack. But at the end of the day, yes, it's not as heavy, but it's definitely a drop-off.
Right. It is a bit of a drop-off in the tackling department. But look at from year 1 to year 2. Yeah, he had 0 picks. He went to 4.
Yeah,
then he went to 7.
That's true.
Look at the increase there. Not like he's going to get 14 picks in this next year. That's not what we're saying. But what I'm saying is usually you'll see the biggest jump. If guys are going to improve, it's between year 1 to year 2. Because year 1, not a lot of guys light the league on fire.
Yeah.
You don't very often see the Carson Wentz's and Baker Mayfields on other positions. Like quarterbacks are the ones that right now can come in and light this league on fire in game 1, year 1.
Yep.
Most other positions you have to adapt. You have a learning curve, especially defensive backs. You got to learn the tricks and you got to learn how to jump routes. You got to learn to watch
all the ins and outs.
Yeah, you got to learn all those things. So I'm okay with seeing that, but seeing that increase, what you listed makes me more comfortable why I would pay him.
But my thing is sustainability. Can he keep that level?
He's done it for 2 years.
To a point. And that's the thing is that he did miss time last year too. and wasn't quite as productive in other departments. Yes, he had 7 picks. That's a great stat for a corner.
True, but there's no Iron Men in NFL anymore unless you're an offensive lineman.
That is true.
Even then, they don't even give guys 16-game seasons anymore. They give them games off just for rest.
Some yes, but some no, because some are just the cornerstone that you're paying them so much, you have no option. Especially when it comes to linemen nowadays, just because with linemen,
they've always been that way, though.
Yeah, you got to be too deep at every
You got to be
position.
some special crazy to be an offensive lineman in the NFL, or just in general, I guess.
In general,
you saying we got a screw loose over here? You got a screw loose?
I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, what's that over there? Anyways, but looking at it though, it's just not something I feel. It definitely is something that has changed in the NFL. It used to be a different mentality back in the day.
Kyler Murray's a way different story, though.
He is,
because I agree with you on that part with that. But I mean, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later for sure. But looking at some of the other deals that happened around the NFL, defensive end Ziggy Ansah signed his 1-year deal with Seattle, which had a lot of different things surrounding that we'll get to in just a second. But he's going to end up missing possibly the first month of the season. He did have shoulder surgery in December. Right. We had a feeling this was going to happen. He has had injury issues in the past, whether it be his shoulder, I think his ankle, his wrist, I think was one as well. But which meant he only played 7 games last year for your Detroit Lions. And he turns 30 here at the end of the month. So
he's already getting to the end of his lifespan.
Exactly. He's not going to have a lot left, which is probably why this is only a 1-year deal anyways. But
it's a show me deal is what it is.
It is. But in those 7 games, he still had 4 sacks, which is respectable. He had 12 sacks the year before, though, in 14 appearances. So definitely, obviously, a drop-off, but he wasn't on the field quite as much because of his injuries that he keeps just sustaining all the time, seems like.
He's always injured. He's not as bad as, like, Sam Bradford.
That's bad.
But, I mean, he's basically like glass.
Yeah, it's getting pretty bad. But what's so funny is that given Ziggy Ansah and the injury issues he's had and, now he signed with Seattle, that someone actually took some type of issue with him signing with Seattle. Who was it? Oh, yeah. The GM of the Bills actually blasted a report that came out about Ansah signing with the Seahawks, calling a completely garbage report, saying that, oh, well, we're still in talks. There has been no contract signed, so this is garbage. Not even something I want to look at, but he still ends up going and signing with Seattle. I mean, wow, Buffalo. Wow.
I mean, what kind of an organization would you rather play for? The Buffalo Bills or the Seattle Seahawks?
Oh, I absolutely agree. But at the end of the day, it just seems like Buffalo is just getting more and more bitter every time a player doesn't go to their way.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some bad luck this offseason in that department for sure. But if Ziggy Ansah is healthy, keyword if, and this is a big if. You could not fit that if in this studio.
Already he's not going to play 16 games guaranteed.
Yeah, he's already not going to play 16 because you said he's going to miss the first month of the season.
And that's on the conservative side apparently as well.
Yeah, he'll be lucky to play half the season.
Yeah.
So that's 7 games he played in 2018, right about the same number. Probably right about the same number. But, I mean, when he's healthy, he's a very good pass rusher.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not elite, but he's a very good pass rusher.
Always a great addition to any defense, really.
They're basically trying to make up for Frank Clark leaving, but I mean, you can have him, and then they just drafted Collier too out of TCU.
Collier.
And who else did they got somebody else too. I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but anyway, so I mean that basically helps shore up that pass rush that Frank Clark is now left behind. So if he's healthy, it's a great move.
Absolutely.
Keyword is if, and that's why, like you said, it's a 1-year deal. It's a show me deal. Prove it that you can be healthy and perform well.
Because honestly, if he does go out there and does perform well, Seattle definitely hold on to him just because Seattle needs all the defensive linemen they can get at this point.
Oh, he'll try to go for a bigger contract elsewhere if he has a big season.
You never know. Seattle might be able and willing to pay for it.
Maybe.
But we'll definitely see. But another one, though, another player out there by the name of, who is that guy? Benjamin Watson. There's a name that comes up every only now and then.
Blast from the past.
Yeah, right. He's been in the league, 14 years I think it's been now. He ended up coming out in the, going into his 15th season now. Was drafted by the Patriots in 2004 in the first round, last pick out of Georgia. Was a great player for not only the Patriots, but also the Saints and the Ravens. Has been a great player, but got talked out of talked out of retirement, probably by Bill Belichick, ended up meeting with the Patriots and ends up signing a 1-year, $3 million deal. Now, this is a move, I think, just to add veteran leadership more so than anything, and maybe just kind of a reliable safety valve. And the reason I say the reliable safety valve is that throughout his career, Benjamin Watson has always been a great pass catcher. He's always caught roughly over 65% of all of his passes. However, these last 2 seasons have been his best 2 for catch rate percentage. In 2017, he caught over 77% for the Ravens. In 2018, he caught about 76% for the Saints. Now, that's Joe Flacco and Drew Brees throwing to you. Now, imagine what he's going to be able to do with Tom Brady throwing to him. And now that they don't have Gronk there anymore, it only makes sense to go get a big veteran tight end like Benjamin Watson. Now, last season, he only had 35 receptions, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the offense didn't run through Benjamin Watson. We saw with that Saints offense who that ran through. And that was just wonderful to watch until the NFC title game. But at the end of the day, though, I think this is a wonderful move for the Patriots, and I think Benjamin Watson is going to be a great fit.
I mean, if he can still play, and obviously he can and play and have that leadership role, it's a really interesting thing for me that I think about. Like, okay, you said you wanted to retire, and then not even a couple months later, you want to come back now?
Well, yeah, but let's look at it from this point of view, is that the Saints have been great. They're able to stay somewhat consistent. They had a bunch of 8-8 seasons these past 4 or 5 years. Was able to turn the corner this year. However, when you look at the organization of the Patriots, they are always consistently there. 10+ wins every season for the past 15 years or whatever it is?
Yeah, maybe he's ring chasing, I guess. But
and I think that's what it comes down to, is that, TB12 got his Infinity Gauntlet. Benjamin Watson just wants to get a little taste of that.
Well, he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's won titles with the Patriots in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, but he wants more. Once you have one, you just want another.
Maybe.
But he did win one. It was against the Eagles, Super Bowl 39. So he does have one. But, come on, he saw Tom Brady go win 5 more.
But if he can, if he can keep up that career best, that catch percentage that you spoke of, if he can keep that up, he would be a great fill-in for Gronk, because they're not going to use him in the same capacity that they've used their tight ends in the past, because looking at their depth chart, they don't have a whole lot behind him. You got Austin Seferian-Jenkins, who was in Jacksonville and was a complete flop. Terrible sign.
Had a bunch of issues.
But they have another guy that's on their roster, Matt Lacoste, that they really, really like. So that's a guy that could see some more action. But I think Ben Watson, like you said, he's there for leadership. He's there for his veteran presence. And I think he's going to have a bit of a Jason Witten vibe to this passing attack, where he's going to be, like you said, the reliable guy. So that way they don't have to always go, hey, it's 3rd down, Julian Edelman. Hey, it's 3rd down, Julian Edelman. So, I mean, I think it's a really good idea for him to try it again.
Especially when you have the opportunity to have Tom Brady throw for you again, especially at this point in both of their careers. So definitely will be interesting. But something that's a little bit more on the sad side is looking that the Seattle Seahawks cut wide receiver Doug Baldwin and safety Cam Chancellor Thursday due to failed physicals. And it is kind of sad, though, just because these have been cornerstones for this team for a long time. Yeah,
they helped have development in that culture to make sure that they've got to their winning ways that they were used to. I mean, you're looking at Cam Chancellor, part of the Legion of Boom.
That's right.
Baldwin has had some great years getting passes from Russell Wilson. So it's not much of a surprise for Doug Baldwin here. We were talking about before the draft. He's potentially going to have this happen anyway. He might retire. Cam Chancellor was a bit of a surprise to me. I did not know this.
Yeah.
So this kind of came as a bit of a surprise to us. But they could still make other teams. They just got to pass the physical. But are they going to just retire? I think Doug Baldwin will. Cam Chancellor, I wouldn't be surprised. Now we're getting to that second wave of free agency. Don't be surprised if another team tries to take him and see if they can help him pass his physical.
Especially since there are a number of teams out there that are still looking for safety help and safety depth. So definitely I could see Cam Chancellor landing somewhere else. But I agree with you, Doug Baldwin. I think at this point we'll probably hang up the cleats. And I felt like the writing was on the wall when they drafted DK Metcalf. So we know that's probably going to end up being one of the shiny new ponies for Russell Wilson. So we'll definitely see how that all works out. But to change gears a little bit to something a little bit more interesting, did not expect this at all. Jacksonville Jaguars linebacker Telvin Smith has elected not to play in 2019. What's your take on this?
So this was really interesting. Came out of left field again. Like we were kind of caught off guard. I remember as soon as I saw this, I immediately started texting you like, "Oh my God, we should almost like lead the show with this." But he announced on Instagram that he's going to sit out in 2019 to, quote, give this time back to myself, my family, and my health. Mm-hmm. So he also stated that he's being in Jacksonville. He started his career there. He wants to end his career there. Duval till we die.
Duval.
Duval. One of the worst catchphrases I've ever heard in my lifetime.
But it's catchy.
But it is catchy. But with him stepping away from this team, and the Jags and Doug Marrone have already come out and said, we are 100% behind you. We are going to help you out throughout this process, and we're going to be here when you come back. Mm-hmm. So he has also been linked to trade rumors, which is kind of, I think, what spurned this a little bit, maybe.
Definitely could have, because like you said, he's Duval till he dies, so it's definitely maybe a way to try and avoid it. It
kind of came out of left field that he even did this in the first place, but the fact that he's been subject to trade rumors, and he's even said, like, hey, look, I'm still here. You see me? I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere. So we'll see what happens out of that. But with him not electing to play, then there's not much of a chance they're probably going to trade him, because if they trade him somewhere, he's already said he's not going to play this year. So you're already just basically sabotaging a draft pick or even another player at this point to get a guy that's not even going to play for you.
Mm-hmm. But another interesting aspect of this, though, is the depth chart, because Telvin Smith was figuring to be a really large contributor to this team. So looking at the depth chart, who are they going to have to be able to even fill in here?
So this is really interesting of who could potentially take his spot, because you're not going to move. We talked about this before the show. You're not going to move any middle linebackers to take over him. You got Miles Jack is there, and the guys that are learning behind him. Miles Jack wasn't outside. He moved inside. That is where they're keeping him. There's no way he's moving back. Yeah. The guys that are behind him, this is according to CBS Sports on their depth chart, Blair Brown, Quincy Williams, DJ Alexander. So Quincy Williams was the third-round draft pick from Murray State. So he's listed at 5'11", 225, but in the draft, when we looked up what he was listed as a safety coming out of the draft. So I don't know if he's going to be actually a safety, weak side linebacker. Maybe he's going to be a hybrid. I'm not sure, but that one, there's no way he starts, especially if you're moving him from safety to weak side. He does not start.
That's not a guy that's going to be able to be physically able, I think, to keep that sustainable.
Yeah, and then DJ Alexander, the guy behind him, he's got 5 years of experience, but he played for the Eagles, your Eagles, in 2018.
Yep.
Didn't play a single snap, but he's seen as a special teams specialist. That's what he was brought in for, to try to make the team for special teams. I don't think he might not even make the team, depending on how this lays out, but Blair Brown is the guy who's going to be the next guy up. He's only got 3 years of experience, so little experience, as you were talking to earlier. He's going to have to step up. Last year, he played in 15 games, only had 2 tackles and recovered a fumble. But in 2017, he had a much better productive season in less games. He only played in 13 games, 15 tackles, 11 of them solo, and had half a sack. So he's going to have to step up for them.
Yeah, because this is a league of what have you done for me lately. So at the end of the day, if you can't keep it sustained, they're not going to want to take a chance on you. But that's just with the weak side options. Looking at the strong side options, not much of a different story when you look at it. Looking from the bottom, James Onawalu claimed off of waivers from the 49ers, and he only played in 5 games. Only had 2 tackles. They did have the forced fumble, which is nice, but he's only really coming in and expecting to compete for a special team spot. So I don't really feel he's going to guy that's going to be able to do it. Look up the list a little bit. Donald Payne, 3 years experience, but he was on IR last year and had an MCL sprain.
That's a tough injury too.
Very tough injury.
I mean, ask Marquise Lee. He tore all of his ligaments, and MCL was a big one.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be tough for him.
It's gonna be real tough, and he only played in 8 games, 2 tackles, so that's nothing. You look up the list. Ramik Wilson, 5 years experience, so the most experienced out of the strong side linebackers, but. He played in all of 19 games for the LA Rams in 2018. Started 4 games, being relegated to special teams, though. But he's only seen as a destination. This is like not a real big guy that they're looking at to fill this void.
I think he can make some push because he did start some games for the Rams last year.
That's the only thing I think that helps him.
But the weird thing to me is he started the season starting at a linebacker position for the Rams. As the season went on, they used him less and less. What does that tell you about what they saw of him while he was there in LA?
Well, the thing is, too, with LA, though, that LA Rams defense was always stupidly loaded.
True.
So that is one thing also probably to keep in mind.
But not a linebacker.
That is true. And they only became recently, I feel like, stacked in any kind of way at linebacker going into this offseason. So with that, Ramik Wilson might not be the guy that's going to be able to be an every down backer for you. So that leaves Leon Jacobs with 2 years experience, had 21 tackles, 16 of which were solo in 2018. But
I mean, to your point, you're not going to move any of these strong side guys because they're all young. You want them to learn how to be a strong side backer. So I don't think there's any way they're going to move any of those guys there.
But looking at that, that's what 7 guys we just ruled right off top. That's just pretty much your entire linebacking core. So
there's one guy though that
what does it leave?
That I think it opens the door for Josh Allen. I think it does. I mean, he has a great opportunity here to not only play but strongly contribute for this team and how strong of a defense they still could potentially have in 2019.
Does Josh Allen become the next Khalil Mack?
Having watched the Jags the last few years, since I moved to Florida, God, I hope so. That would be... Can you imagine if he turns into a Khalil Mack, Ramsey, Calais Campbell, Josh Allen, Miles Jack? I mean, that kind of a defense, scary as all hell.
It definitely would be a harden back to when they actually made the AFC title game that one year not too long ago. So, I don't know. Definitely would have to see.
So, I think he does see snaps, though, at both D-end and outside linebacker. Probably on the... They might... Most likely, I would move him to weak side because that's the kind of guy you want him downhill.
Yeah, as fast as possible.
As fast as you can. And what better way to do it than on weak side? So that way he can get in and create some havoc on running plays or even passing situations. But I mean, he's a very big guy. What was he? 6'5", 240, I think.
About 245, 250. Looks like a freak, really. So honestly, this guy could be all of it for him. I don't know. We'll definitely see how it works out. Jacksonville, I know, is going to be praying that it works out just because at the end of the day, having Telvin Smith leave is a huge void. And they probably thought to this point, like, hey, we might have our defense actually kind of figured out right now. And then they get thrown this haymaker. So
it'll be interesting. Maybe they go and pick up a free agent that's maybe still out there. I don't know the best ones that are still out there at this point.
A lot of them are already off the board, if I'm not mistaken. But
I mean, you could still pick up a guy that you really like. Maybe, leading up to training camp, guys get cut all the time. Mm-hmm. Guys maybe aren't fitting or guys just don't make the cut for the 53-man roster. So maybe Jacksonville tries to find some guys from there, and you'd be surprised what you can find leading up to the regular season.
Yeah, it definitely would be interesting going forward. We'll definitely see what ends up popping out. But definitely got one more. What's that other sport that they play a lot? Has
lost
a stick,
in
has
all
a
this.
ball. That's lost in all this because it's still in its young season. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Major League Baseball. I tell you what, it's been an exciting start to the season. A lot of great things going on. But our best of the week, I have to give out the first one, so you need to calm down, sir.
Hey,
I know you got 2 or 3.
The floor is
maybe
yours,
37 different ones you want to bring up.
You know what? You're right.
Exactly. So, the first one I'm going to hit you with, and the only one I'm going to hit you with, Rangers' Joey Gallo becomes the first player ever to hit 100 home runs before he hits 100 singles. I think that's a guy who likes to go yard. Just throwing it out there. Now, his season so far has been mediocre-ish, I guess. 12 home runs, 28 RBIs, batting at a 257. So,
It's not bad.
Not bad. Not great, but not bad. He's definitely been a great contributor. But, hey, man, 100 home runs before you had to get on base 100 times in a single? I'll
crazy.
take that. Go yard, bro. Go yard.
Let's hope he's not like Ryan Howard, who's either yard or strikeout.
Right.
But
yard or here you go.
Yeah. Here you go. You just go ahead and take my bat.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's an amazing feat. The fact that he hits 100 home runs before he gets 100 singles.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Rangers fan, you'd be excited about this guy, especially if he stays and plays consistent. He should be a pretty good contributor for that team then.
Oh, definitely will be. Definitely will be. But looking at your best of the week, I see you got all kinds of crazy stats and stuff over here. What you got going on?
My best of the week goes to a guy that I will call myself out first and foremost. I apologize. So one of our listeners reached out to me about 2 weeks ago when I had.
That's right. Don't include me in.
Yeah, I had incorrectly stated that I thought Albert Pujols had retired. I apologize. So to our listener that pointed that out to me, thank you. I appreciate it. And Albert Pujols is my best of the week because he became only the third player in MLB history to reach 2,000 RBIs.
That is awesome. That is amazingly awesome. Who does he share that distinction with?
So it's a very small crowd, and it's Hall of Famers, depending on how you feel about steroids. He is sharing this with Hank Aaron and A-Rod. Hank Aaron and A-Rod.
That is quite the cast.
Yeah, so he hit his 2,000th RBI on a solo home run in the third inning to left field against the Tigers in Detroit earlier this week. And now he's ranks fourth on the all-time RBI list, and he's only behind Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and A-Rod.
Redonkulous. Completely redonkulous.
So that hit also was his 639th of his career and his 3,107th hit of his career.
It's great that he got this stat just because I think up to this point, I don't think you were entirely wrong when you said he retired. I thought when he left the Cardinals, he was pretty much done. You went to the Angels, bro. Well,
he had a couple of good years with the Angels.
But he did.
2016 was like the last year that he was really productive.
Yeah.
Because I think he was 17th in MVP voting right around that year, 16.
Roughly, yeah.
So, I mean, he still had a pretty productive year. But, yeah, he's been getting older. He's been not the machine he was anymore.
The machine is a very accurate word because that man was just belting them.
Yeah, but the other big distinction here is talk about the company he shared. Mm-hmm. He also only shares company with two other players, Hank Aaron and Alex Rodriguez, is the only player in league history, 600 homers, 3,000 hits, 2,000 RBI. This, I mean, they might as well just enshrine him in the Hall of Fame just right now while he's still playing. Never been done before. Just do it now. I think he could be a potential unanimous vote.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think he'll get it, but I think he could be.
I think he could just because, honestly, let's think of all those Cardinals teams that he was a part of that won all those championships, just playing so great.
One of the best hitters of that decade.
Yes.
One of the greatest hitters of that decade.
Absolutely.
You could not throw to a single spot in the strike zone without him going yard.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't matter where you throw. You can even try to throw to the guy over there that's selling the hot dogs in the third row. Guess what? He's going to run over there and belt that ball 480 yards out of the park.
He's enough of a hulking monster. He'd probably just throw the bat and it would hit the ball and still go yard. I mean,
I'm not going to lie. I would pay to see that.
I would pay to see that too.
I would pay probably stupid money to see that.
But that's my best of the week. Congratulations, Albert Pujols. Well-deserved honor for him.
Definitely.
And he got a standing ovation from the home Tigers crowd. So to my hometown fans, congratulations to you as far as honoring and recognizing such a feat to a visiting player.
Yes, congratulations for not being crap people about it. and actually supporting, great players. So I can't say my teams have always done that.
I mean,
the Eagles hucked snowballs at Santa Claus. So
you guys are awful people.
Philly dilly.
Philly dilly.
But to take this thing home, we still have one more segment to go, and that's our awesome Give or Go segment. And this one's definitely going to be interesting.
This is going to be a good one. I can't wait. Let's get started. Chris, first one's for you. Give or go. Dallas Cowboys QB Dak Prescott gets not only beaten, embarrassed by David Carr in a throwing contest on the NFL Network. Give or go?
Oh, I'm giving this 110% go. I'm giving extra effort on this one because not only do I hate
maximum effort,
not only do I hate Dak Prescott, but I find it so funny that you not only get beaten but embarrassed. We got to put this in all caps in the notes just to put the emphasis on this. He got embarrassed by David Carr. Remember David Carr's career?
Yeah, it was very short-lived.
Yeah, he played for Houston, got beaten up a lot, just, couldn't complete a pass to save his life. And he was throwing dimes.
He got sacked like the most of any quarterback.
I'm sure
in
he
his
probably holds
year.
the record. I'm sure he holds the record. But at the end of the day, he was throwing dimes on point to every target in the area they were playing. And Dak Prescott literally looked like a guy who just picked a football up and learned how to start throwing earlier in the week. He
looked like a third-string QB,
horrendous,
which is what David Carr was in his career.
I don't even
unfortunately.
know. After that performance, I don't even know if I want Dak Prescott holding a football. You can stand on the sideline, hold the clipboard, and help me call in the plays. That's about the best you're going to get out of him.
But I mean, this guy wants $30 million a year, or no, he doesn't want it. Dallas is willing to give him $30 million.
Because Jerry Jones thinks for some reason that is a wonderful idea. Hey, guess what, Jerry Jones? You had a nice little quarterback named Tony Romo for a while, and then you put this hack in. So guess what? Go ahead, pay him $30 million. I love seeing Dallas at the bottom of the NFC East. Helps us win Super Bowls. So
my favorite thing about that, before we move on, is the very last pass. David Carr literally goes, "Hey, I'm going to skip this." And he skipped it off the ground and hit the furthest target away. And Dak looked at him like, "Bro, you had to embarrass me like that?" Like, it was hilarious. Yeah. I loved every minute of it.
Dak already knew he was embarrassed. And that's what's great about it. Dak knows what's up. You're just getting lucky because Jerry Jones can't see that well anymore. But at the end of the day, Cleveland Browns GM John Dorsey trolled other NFL GMs during round 1 of the NFL draft. Give or go?
I'm going to give on this because this is hilarious. This is everything that I would hope an NFL GM would be willing to do for other NFL GMs.
Oh, man.
So this video we shared on Twitter a few days ago is exactly that. GM John Dorsey, they didn't have a pick in the first round, so he was calling the Cardinals at pick 1. He was calling the Colts, who were in the mid to late first round, and calling them. The guy picks up the phone and he goes, "Hey, it's Dorsey." So then the GM looks at the owner and goes, "Oh, it's Dorsey. He's here to F with us." And it was hilarious because they were at the first pick of the draft. And then the Colts GM, Ballard, even said on camera, because they did a little interview about it, because apparently John Dorsey's had a history of doing this.
Yeah,
I have so much more respect for John Dorsey right now. It is amazing. I think it's hilarious, and
makes me be a Browns fan almost.
Yeah, almost. Don't get too ahead of yourself.
Almost. Now. I mean, hey, I got him winning the AFC North, so
this is true. I think we both do at this point. I can't wait for our preview show for the NFL. See how we're going to do that. Wait. That's going to be great. All right, next one, Chris. Cliff Kingsbury will not commit to QB Kyler Murray starting week 1, who they just paid a guaranteed $35 million contract. Give or go?
Go, because I'm honestly sick of talking about Kyler Murray and the pick that should not have happened. Because guess what? You could be sitting here with Josh Rosen right now getting ready for his second year, but no. You got this little guy pitter-pattering around in new cleats and complaining that his feet hurts. Sorry, bro. Guess what? It's football. Once we get past OTAs, then we'll take another look at this.
Who outfitted his feet? Puma?
Probably. Probably, because we know how successful they are keeping anybody safe. Anyways, though, the XFL released their entire 10-week schedule for the 2020 season on Monday. Give or go?
I want to give on this one, too, just because the fact not only did they release their entire 10-week schedule for 2020 and the postseason, it's who the TV deals are with is why I want to give on this. Yeah. He got Vince, and mind you, Vince McMahon got both Fox and Disney to sign off on playing his games. So his games are going to be on either Fox Sports, FS1, ABC, or ESPN in any given week. This is huge for the XFL, but here's the big problem. You still have to overcome now the recency effect of the AAF's dumpster fire that they were or still are in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but otherwise, this is a really bright spot. They still haven't even announced the teams. They've announced where they're going to be.
Well, they announced the location. The locations. But nothing else.
Nothing
really.
else. No, I mean.
A couple head coaches, and that's
you're kicking off in 6 months. What are you waiting for?
And that's one thing I find interesting with this situation.
He's waiting for SummerSlam.
I think he is waiting for SummerSlam because he's going to debut all of them at SummerSlam. Just wait. But at the end of the day, I still feel that even though we did see the debacle of the AAF happen and all the promises and all the horrific fallout from it, Vince McMahon is a very, very established businessman in U.S. economics. This isn't even just, oh, he's a nice guy who's done some stuff here and there. No, this is a national product that he's put out with the WWE, has made billions with it, and has been able to literally seep this into other business ventures, including WWE Studios. Of course, looking at all the amazing sponsorship deals they pulled off. And, oh, yeah, let's not forget, they already had a deal with ESPN featuring WWE News. So,
true.
At the end of the day,
and their TV deal with Fox with the WWE.
SmackDown now is going to Fox in October. You still have Raw now on USA Network, back where it started. And honestly, it just makes sense. The WWE is still growing in value. And at the drop of a hat, Vince McMahon was able to liquidate $250 million in assets. So he has the money. And that's the thing. Sponsors are going to trust him. TV networks are going to trust him. People are going to trust with what he's able to do. And the biggest one that's going to be able to trust him is the NFL. When they start having those talks during the 2020 inaugural season of the XFL, what kind of year is that? Oh, yeah.
CBA year.
That's a CBA year, sir. So definitely great moves by Vince McMahon. So I definitely want to see how that's going to work out.
I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Should be good. Hopefully they do much better, not only than the first time around, but much better than the AAF have done.
Well, I'll guarantee, I bet you payroll will be paid without issue. They will not need to switch payroll companies.
They better hope so.
Better hope so. But as we are getting down near the end of this, man, it's been a nice little fun ride here.
Man, this show is going by fast. I feel like we just got into a roll and we just lost track of time.
You know, hey, it's what we do. You know, new studio, new threads, man. You know,
we're just excited about everything right now.
Yeah, exactly. Philly Dilly. So, you know, we do have to bring up, though.
That's not a thing.
Our final thoughts. It is going to be a thing.
They killed Dilly Dilly.
No, they didn't. You know why? Because they straight up pulled a Game of Thrones, and he is alive.
And they revived the Bud Night. I know.
The Bud Night is back.
I loved it. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious. They went and got some food. But anyways, final thoughts, though. What do you got coming up this week?
So for all my basketball fans out there, myself included, the NBA Draft Lottery is coming up on Tuesday, May 14th. 8:30 on ESPN. We're going to see if the New York Knicks do in fact get the number one pick, or if, you know, maybe for some weird reason the NBA decides, you know what, let's give the number one pick to the LA Lakers. Why not? I mean, they've done it with the Cleveland Cavs before. Why not do it now with the LA Lakers for LeBron's sake? Also, the NBA Combine starts also on the 14th, runs through the 19th, Tuesday through Sunday, hosted in Chicago. TV coverage is going to be on ESPN2 Thursday and Friday from 3 to 7. I know where I'll be watching as long as I'm not working. I'm going to be glued to that, watching all the 60 to 66 participants were released earlier this week on Twitter. So looking forward to seeing some of the big names. Zion's going to be there. Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett. My Michigan boys are going to be there. A. Brasdegas, Jordan Poole, Charles Matthews. So looking forward to watching the Combine later this week. What do you got coming up this week?
Man, that's crazy. That sounds really exciting. But you know what I got coming up is that you still are in the rookie mini camps. Definitely going to be checking those out, seeing a lot of how these rookies are going to be playing out. Because they're also going to be going into the NFLPA Rookie Premier, which means they finally get to learn how to save money while being an NFL player. That's actually a thing now, believe it or not.
I love it.
I do
too.
They
need to.
That's a great move because we've seen so many guys just blow money.
I think they took that from the NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
They
did take that.
But another thing, too, the Spring League meeting will be coming up also. That'll be taking place in Key Biscayne in Florida. That's going to be about a little over a week out. So definitely some interesting stuff. But
road trip?
Maybe.
Final Score road trip?
Final Score road trip?
Think we can get in?
I don't know. Maybe. We can try.
Shield. NFL, call us. We'll be there.
We're right here. Shield. All right. But at the end of the day, though, the big thing I'm also going to be looking forward will be tomorrow night outside of the NBA playoffs. I'll be watching the pre-series finale of Game of Thrones, episode 5 of season 8. We've only got 2 episodes left, man.
I love how you wrote in the notes the pre-series finale.
Oh, I had to. It is that important. It needed its due. I'll pay it a contract.
Yeah. We saw in the last Game of Thrones the aftermath of the Battle of Winterfell, and we saw if you're not caught up in Game of Thrones, shame on you. First of all, if you don't watch, no big deal. Just tune us out. You're ready. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. But if you do, you can get HBO Go on this little thing called a cell phone. So go ahead and download it and go watch it, you animal.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, like you said, 2 episodes left.
I don't know.
The big battle for King's Landing's got to happen soon.
And we saw what happened in this last episode. We're down another. So things are definitely getting interesting. So definitely make sure that you check it out on HBO.
Clegane Bowl 2 this week or next week?
I think it's going to be this week.
Think it's this week?
I think it's going to be this week.
I think so too.
That's going to be exciting.
It's got to be this week.
You know what?
You're not going to cram it and not give it the recognition it deserves in the last, because you got to wrap up all these different storylines.
So many.
Daenerys and Jon Snow and the Stark family and the list. Yeah, you got to wrap all that up.
There's so much going on.
Clegane Bowl 2's got to happen this week.
Yep, can't wait. Woo-hoo. It's going to be just like that.
Just like that.
Just like that, because I'm that excited. But you know what else is exciting? Final Score. So to make sure that you keep up to date on all things Final Score, make sure you go on all of our social media outlets, including Facebook at /PCN Final Score, on Twitter at PCN Final Score, and you can also check it out on all of our crazy platforms that are right boom there, because we're now available on Google Play Music, Podbean, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify. So definitely make sure you go check us out on any of those platforms. Search keyword Final Score. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Check out all of our episodes. Download them all because, hey, we're Final Score. You should check us out. We've got a lot of good stuff going on.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, we are pretty much there.
We are pretty much there, and we don't have these nice, fancy new threads for nothing. So definitely check us out. But until next time, I'm Chris. This is Craig. This has been Final Score. Definitely tune in next week. But until then, have yourselves a great night.
Podcast City Network.